Judith now, okay?
Fine,
I'm gonna sit next to Judith.
I will see you at home.
Fine.
And she's just trying to keep Daniel and I apart.
How are you guys? This is so exciting.
It is.
We're so excited to be here. It's nice to see you as always. So nice to see you guys. I think the last time that I saw y'all was around Halloween, and now we're around another holiday. So this is exciting. I love getting to celebrate with you guys out of curiosity, because I always ask how you guys celebrate Halloween. Do you guys have any traditions for this time of year?
Oh boy, I love this time of year.
It's the most wonderful time.
I love going and seeing like all the Christmas lights and just there's so much, pardon the pun, but there's so much magic of the season. Thank you. That I love just being in that energy and of course, you know, all the treats that come along with the holiday. I've heard that calories don't count quite the same during the holiday.
They don't.
So
they're like
exactly.
half.
So it's, you know,
Yeah.
there's great treats and it's just, yeah, it's the best.
I have to say, I love this time of year. Like, it starts the rumble. I feel like Halloween starts the holiday season.
Yes.
You know, it's like you then roll into Thanksgiving, and then you literally roll into Christmas. And I have friends who do, because I know you guys, you put your tree up really early, which I love. And there are studies that say the people who decorate earlier are happier people.
Oh,
It's
okay.
science.
I bet.
Follow the science. But I have a friend who does a Halloween tree that then morphs into a Christmas tree.
I think we're gonna do that.
I think we're gonna
next
do
year.
that.
yeah,
next year.
We've been
yeah. It's
discussing,
really
yeah.
fun. But I'm all about, like, it's time to start baking. It's time to decorate. I love it.
Yeah, you have to.
I love it.
This is great because this feels like a celebration right now. Like, this is so amazing. And I wanted to ask you guys, because one of the coolest things about the Halloweentown franchise is kind of like we see it now generationally, right? Like, people are watching it, they're showing it to their kids. What is it like, you know, seeing new fans, little kids now being, you know, fans of Halloweentown?
It's the coolest. I mean, I think people always ask me like, oh, did you guys know ahead of time you were going to do a movie series and were there plans for it? And no, there was not. There was one Halloweentown movie.
Done.
It was
One
the
and done.
second or third ever Disney Channel like original movie ever. Disney Channel wasn't
what?
Exactly. Disney Channel wasn't in every household yet. So we really got to watch, like, the first one came out and a lot of people watched it, and then we got to, like, you guys just, I mean, have shown it so much love and everything over the years that you guys are the reason we got to do sequels and
Yes.
all of that. And we are still so honored that after all these years later that, yes, that families, I mean, we meet just generations, just
Yeah.
grandmas and daughters and granddaughters
kids.
and just generations that watch the movie, and it's really, really incredible.
I had somebody come up today who they were a big Ninja Turtle fan, and she said, but
Thank you. No, you can clap for that. Yes, you
but
can.
better
she
clap.
Said,
Thank you.
She said, we were coming because of Halloweentown. And so she made her boyfriend watch it, and he was like, it was really good. So I don't think you know, that's pretty high praise.
Yes, that's,
You know, the reluctant, like, oh, they're going to make me watch. Hey, I liked it. So, yeah,
And well, thank goodness
it's got some legs.
it does. But thank goodness that they made more, because we were gifted, of course, with Cal. And
And he looks exactly the same.
He does.
you all do. Like, it's amazing. Well, what do you think made Cal such a memorable villain, and why do you think he resonated so well with audiences?
Probably the leather jacket. I mean, it's the jacket. They really did it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm just a big nerd, and then you throw a leather jacket on me, and then you're like, oh, he's not that nerdy. Yeah, all right.
Did you get to keep that leather jacket?
I tried to keep that leather jacket. Oh, I tried. I was like, please, I begged the producers. I'm like, look, it fits me great. You're not going to do anything with it. And they were like, no. And then I go to another producer. I'm like, come on, let me have the jacket. And they're like, no. And I'm like, we're almost done filming, please. And they were like, no. And I was like, fine, I'll just take Marnie. And they were like, okay.
In a classic Disney move.
The ultimate revenge.
Did you guys end up keeping any memorable things from the set?
We do have a few things.
Oh, somebody took everything. She did. She was good
I
at
was
that.
gifted.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gifted
Well,
things.
gifted, yes.
Okay. And Debbie Reynolds may have helped in the taking home of certain props, you know.
She did. She has good. Just give us the list.
Well, let's see. They gave us the Halloweentown book from the first movie. The producers.
The real one.
Yeah, the producers gave us a couple copies afterwards, and I had no idea. Like, now it's in like a sealed Ziploc bag. I wash my hands before I touch it. Like, I had no idea it would become, you know, so special throughout the movies. But I have Marnie's outfit from the second Halloweentown, the whole purple cloak and the hat. That was the outfit that Debbie helped me take home. Helped talk to the producer and was like, just let her, because it was literally made for me. So she was like, just let her take it home. So I brought it back for Halloweentown High, and I have the bat from the first Halloweentown that is Kalabar's assistant in his office. He pops up out of his coffin and goes, "There's somebody here to see you, boss." Disney gave me him, and he's still sitting in his coffin. I'm like, please don't fall apart. But those are a few things I have. Do you have
And
that leather
ironically,
jacket or no?
Kalabar's jacket.
Oh,
They gave it to you.
I wish.
I have a couple things. I have the mask that I wore in the second film.
I love that.
I have the teeth, which are really good because they're like orthodontist grade, awful teeth. So you can pull them out and they look so real. They look so real. And actually it was funny because when we were shooting the films, I don't know, does anybody remember Billy Bob teeth? Do you remember that? It was a long, most of you weren't even born, but they had these crazy sort of Billy Bob teeth. They were like hillbilly teeth, but I got a real pair. And I still have them. And then I had my hands and Luke's ears.
Oh, you got Luke's ears?
Random.
You loved being
I
the
did.
creature in the second Halloween.
terrible.
Like, you even, like, behind, when we weren't filming, she was just embracing that scary monster side. Like,
But
you were terrifying.
as an English rock star.
Yeah, there was lots of accents and different things
I
happening.
just felt like I put that wig on my head, and so I became a rocker. And they were like, "Stop."
It was confusing
stop
at times.
now.
And then
That-
11 p.m. rolls around. This one gets giddy, and it was
Oh
all
my
over.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and 11 p.m. rolls around, and then Debbie gets giddy.
Yes. And that was always the best.
That's our favorite.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about Debbie Reynolds, is there any stories that you guys can share with us?
Well, you have a good one, speaking of
You
filming
do.
Halloweentown II with Debbie when we were filming, or you guys were filming late that night.
Oh, when we were filming, yeah, the party scene at the end where Cal's up on the rafters and looking down, and that whole thing where he turns you into the creature and stuff.
Right.
We were filming
Thanks.
late. Oh, you're welcome. We were filming late that night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was probably 50 extras or more. A lot of people in there, and we've been filming for a while, and everybody was tired, and just the energy was down, and I think I heard the director like, "Oh, we need to bring the energy up or something." And Debbie saw that, and Debbie at the time was 68 years old, and she goes, "Okay, well, I gotta bring up the energy." So she goes out in the middle, and she starts singing and starts dancing and cracking jokes and getting the whole crowd up. And before you know it, everyone, it's like we're at a party. And they were like, "Okay, action." And it just worked. So Debbie actually brought all of the energy up. One of the oldest people there, she's the one that got everybody up and happy and excited and ready to film. So it was really cool.
Exactly, yes.
She had superpowers.
She did. Yeah. She was just she was so much like Aggie in real life. Like, I think Aggie was just a more energetic, feisty part of her personality, which was always there. There were so many fun times. One of my favorites was probably flying on the broom with her, because I mean, how many times in life can, first you say you flew on a broom, right? Flew on a broom. Flied? Right. Flew on a broom. So when we were filming the broom flying scene from the first movie, it was our last day of filming, so she and I got to sit up on a big, tall stool, basically in front of a big blue screen, and they would fly the camera around us tilt us back and forth to make it look like we were flying. But that was the first time that Debbie and I actually got to spend some one-on-one time together. And like, it was the last day of filming. We spent the whole afternoon up on the stool. She was telling stories, making us laugh. She made sure my dad could come take some pictures of us together. Like, it was just the best day. So that's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, she was truly amazing. One of the things that she was this perfect combination of seasoned professional, like when she could take the whole room and go, we don't have enough energy, I'll make the energy rise. and also, like, she was a teacher. She was always telling stories about her she was very generous. She would share her career highs and lows. She didn't try to hide or varnish any of it. And she was just incredibly generous. And then particularly, she was incredibly generous with fans. And I think that she was, I know for me, and I think probably for all of us, she was like our greatest teacher in how to embrace the fans that you have. Because I think for me, I thought, well, you have fans. I don't really have fans. I mean, you're Debbie Reynolds. And it was like, oh, actually, maybe you have a couple. And, but how to really, embrace the community. And I don't know that any of this is really part of any one of us, but it's part of the love of the whole thing, of which I think she was the biggest underpinning of Halloweentown
as a whole.
Yeah,
of the she was the biggest. Yeah, the heart of the movies.
And then this happens.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Well, I guess let's go to questions from y'all. So, like I mentioned, we do have a microphone right over there. If you guys want to come up to the mic, and we're going to get some questions.
Here they come. Or maybe they're leaving. Oh, there they come.
Hey, what's your name?
My name's Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi. My question is, what was the most memorable scene to shoot, like actively shooting? What was probably the most fun for you to shoot?
There was a lot of fun to be had. Gosh, I'm trying to. It's funny because my brain goes to the broom flying again, and I'm trying to like remember some of the other. I remember initially filming in St. Helens, where we filmed the first Halloweentown, and getting to that town square for the first time and filming some of those beginning scenes. Mm-hmm. There was a very thin line between Kimberly and Marnie's reaction on camera as far as getting to walk around and like just enjoy how cool the town was and everything. So those are some of like my just more memorable moments of like genuinely feeling so excited to be there and just enjoying the creatures and kind of like, I don't know, feeling like it was a little bit of a town, as a kid. So like I totally just bought into all of that and loved it so much.
I have to say the same because they really did. We had a production designer named Alfred Soul, and when we walked on set that first time, like downtown, this is a real town, and every single shop had been redone. The movie theater was now, and it was an empty movie theater. I don't think they had even shown movies in there in a long time, and it was like resurrected into a real movie theater. And it was magical, and that is part of when it's really fun, because it's like, you don't even have to act. It's just, you're just taking it in and absorbing, and it was really exciting that way. What was your favorite?
One of my favorites was probably where Cal's face comes out of the big block. When it used to be the pumpkin and it comes out of the block, because beforehand they had to make my face into the block. So a couple weeks before we were filming, I had to go in and they had to put all of the plaster of Paris stuff all over my face and everything, and put the straws up your nose, so you're like, okay, don't freak out, because it's all over your face, until they peel it off, and then it looks like your face, and then they put it in this latex mold thing, and they ended up making it was about this big. And it had my face in the middle and the brick wall, and then they glued it to my face. So it was like glued there, and then they stuck it to a big black board thing, so I couldn't move, but then we got to do the scene and stuff, so it was just so funny to have that big thing attached to my face. It took about an hour and a half to attach and about an hour and a half to take off. And then at the end, when we were done filming and everything, some of the crew got to go and they graffitied on the wall. So they
We all took Sharpies and drew on it.
Sharpies and drew on it and everything. So that was pretty fun.
I'll have to go visit St. Helens. I've always wanted to, so that's
fun.
Oh, it's really pretty.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
question.
you.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm not close enough. I'm B. My question was, was your favorite scene to shoot out of all of the movies?
Out of all of them, that is a lot of scenes. I don't know that I could narrow it down to one. I think there was things about each movie that were so, like the first one was like the OG. We were young and like got to really experience Halloweentown for the first time with the audience. And then the second one was a little darker side of Halloweentown with the gray spell. Mary Lambert, who directed Pet Sematary, directed the second Halloweentown, so a little bit darker. And then Halloweentown High was like bringing Halloweentown to the mortal world and getting to see that, things like wanting to, be understood and accepted and all those things are universal things across, whether you're in the mortal world or in Halloweentown. So I like that we got to like have fun in each of those different areas. But Halloweentown High, definitely, Debbie and I had like, we had more fun in the sense that I was older and we got to do a lot of stuff one-on-one. So I feel like in that movie we got to play into a little bit more of the physical comedy and comedy of her like trying to teach these classes and Marnie being like, what are you doing? So that like sticks out for me too, because we got to really like just, play around with the comedy of all of those silly situations.
I want to say it is hard. I think it was always really fun when we were together, sort of the culminating moments of the movies when we're, vanquishing evil and we're coming together as a group and we're doing a spell that I can barely pronounce. And but that was fun because I always felt like they get to do more magic. I want to do more magic.
That was
please.
fun.
So
the
that
four
was
of us
fun.
standing out in the the town square, like
being
that was awesome.
badasses.
Yeah,
badass witches.
Well, I was only in one movie, so supposed to come back and then never did. Flew away in a huff. It's like, I'll be back. But one of my favorite scenes was when Cal opens the portal. When you don't know, you're only supposed to be able to open it on Halloween and stuff. But Cal was a real powerful wizard, so he could open the portal. But in the script, it just said Cal says script opens portal. As the actor, I was thinking they're gonna give me the spell, or it says Cal says spell opens the portal. So I'm like, they're gonna give me the spell. Wasn't even thinking about it. About 10 minutes before we were gonna film, they knock on my trailer door and they're like, hey, are you ready? You have the spell and everything? You ready? We're gonna film. And I'm like, yeah. And they shut the door and I'm like, no, my God. I need a spell that needs to sound like a spell. So
They didn't write a spell?
they didn't give me a spell. It just said
Cal
says spell.
says spell, period.
And they're like, you got your spell, right? So luckily,
That's
I was in choir in high school. So doing different songs, we sang this one German song. I think it was just called Musica or something. And it was like, Musica, Musica, wie gesprungen, Jaderton, ein Feist. And that's what you see me do when I open the portal. I go, wie gesprungen, Jaderton, ein Feist. And it opens.
High school choir, baby.
Yeah. And it worked. So
That is
I was
awesome.
thankful. I was like,
Totally
thank you,
fun.
Mr. Funk in choir, for giving us that song.
I feel like you should add that to your resume, like writer of spells.
Yeah,
good
that's
point.
true. Yeah.
Writer
yeah.
of spells.
Yeah, I should have got a writer credit on the movie.
Darn
Damn
right?
it.
Yeah, shoulda. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hey, what's your name?
Hello, I'm Nikki. Obviously, witches are the best, but if you couldn't be a Cromwell, what Halloweentown citizen or creature would you want to be? Or I guess, warlock. Don't be a warlock.
Ooh. I really loved Natalie the Pink Troll from Halloweentown High. I love trolls. So she was one of my favorites. But I loved all the creatures. Like I would have loved to try to pretend to be Benny, or like I wanted to like put the makeup and the masks on and like all, so cool.
Kalabar. I want to be Kalabar. You could be my son.
Mom, you were her mom, now you're my mom.
Just speak to me in German.
That's the only German phrase I know. Luckily, I knew one.
Who would you be?
Oh, who would I be? I know he wasn't the nicest guy, but I liked Gort. I thought it was just being all cantankerous and, leave me alone. And I thought he was pretty funny. And Blue, wasn't it Blue?
Blue Man Kuma.
Blue Man Kuma was
such
the
a great
actor.
guy.
Yeah, just a great guy. And
And if
such a great actor.
you ever need to find your socks, you know where to go.
He's
It's
got
a
'em.
useful skill.
Yeah.
Someone's got to find it.
Someone
You
has
got
to.
'em.
Someone's
They're
got
out there somewhere.
You look amazing, by the
Oh
way.
my gosh,
Yes,
thank
you do. Incredible.
Hey,
You look
amazing
great.
too.
Thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Mars. My question is, what was your favorite, or what was your reaction to like all of the fun like props that you got to look at for like every scene?
I still wish I had stolen a talisman. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
I wish I had put it in my bag and walked out. I loved all the cool props. The talisman was probably one of my favorite things. And the cool thing about like the first movie was we did a lot of the magic and the special effects in real life. Like these days, you know, the computer imaging has leaned on a little harder, so I loved that we got to do a lot of the magic in real time. And one of the scenes with the talisman, when we were in Aggie's house after Kalabar froze these guys in the movie theater, and we go back and we're like, we gotta save them. I actually used 2 different talismans in that scene. We had one talisman that was connected to a cord so it could light up, and then there was one without a cord that we could twist the bottom off and put the powder or whatever it was. So in the middle of the scene, I actually, if you go back and watch it now, when I say we try it for the first time and it doesn't, it goes to light up. So I'm holding the one that's corded, and so when it doesn't fully light, Marnie says something like, oh, drat, and then I put my hands down, and I'm trying to think for a second, and in that moment, while we were filming it, I had put my hand down, and there was the table there, and I put my hand down, and the prop guy literally took that talisman out of my hand and put the other one in it that didn't have the cord, so I could, thank you, so I could pick it, like pull it back up in the scene and be like, okay, well let's put the spell in it then, and so then I could turn that one around and twist the bottom off. But it was like those were little things that we did like that, and I, being 13 years old, and just like I felt so, I guess, cool in a sense that I pulled that off in that scene, like that it was like an extra little choreography that I felt like we were doing something so special. So so the talisman, like that was one of my favorite props for that very long story.
That was a good one, though. I think one of my favorites was the marshmallow spiders.
Yes, that was was a good scene. I
That was
loved
so
that scene.
sweet because we're on the bed and we're having our cocoa and our marshmallow spiders, and everything was practical. And by practical, it's what Kim was just saying, where it's real props. There's no CGI. So we had different people off the sides, like lifting the lid with a little filament and stuff, and that was one of my favorites.
Do you remember him splashing them, like lightly splashing it into the cup, and like some of the chocolate would come out, you know, and it was just like, yeah, it was in real time. It was
That
fun.
was wonderful.
Yeah.
I liked the spell books. I had a couple of different spell books that I got to work with. I know with Aggie's spell book, it was fun. Her room was really cool that we got to film
Yes,
in.
that was a
because
cool
it was
room.
a room that looked exactly like you see in the movie. It was just like the props and everything all over were amazing. There were little eyes of newts on the shelves and like all kinds of stuff. So it was really cool. But the books were neat because in her room, when Cal shrinks the book, there's the big book at first, and then I put my hand over it, and then I get to shrink it to a tiny little, and it was exactly the same looking book, but it ended up being that big, get to put it in the pocket. And then at the end scene where Cal's up on the rafters and everything, they had bolted me to the rafters, because I was literally up in the rafters, about as high as the ceiling. So I was standing up there in the rafters. I'm like, I don't know if this is safe, but it's really cool. And they bolted me to the rafters, and then I had the big book there to do the creature spell. And that book, it was huge. It was a huge book, and it was heavy. So it was like, I'm like 25, 30 feet up in the air with a big old heavy book, like doing the spell up there and everything. So just getting to work with all the different spell books. It's pretty cool.
Me personally, I definitely like the skeleton puppet in the taxi. That was one of my
Benny.
favorites.
Oh, Benny was the best.
Yes, Benny.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left, so we're going to get through as many questions as we can. What's your name?
My name's Frank,
Hi, Brian.
and I just want to say, first of all, I've been trying to rewatch those movies before I came here, and I didn't have time.
Oh.
And so I've been like thinking visually about like some of the characters, but I can't like remember everything. But I don't know. What was your favorite Benny the skeleton moment?
I think riding around with him in that first time we meet him was probably my favorite because we got to basically be towed around the town when we were filming in the taxi. Because anytime you see driving scenes, a lot of times that means there's a car on basically a big flatbed truck or a tow truck, and they're driving around to film the scene. So we had Benny in the front, but he was like an animatronic puppet robot, I guess is the best way to describe him. And he had just the details down to like the minutia of his eyebrow movements and stuff were all remote controlled by the incredible guys at Soda Effects. They did that one too, right? Okay, just making sure. So we had two awesome guys like sitting on either side of the car with big remotes, and they were and I remember filming that scene. The actor who voiced Benny recorded his stuff later on, so there was somebody kindly reading his dialogue, but you could hear Benny's movements throughout it was and that was like that. I just remember that noise filming the scene of like, with Dylan going, oh, let's talk about how legal it is to drive with no eyeballs, and like that whole thing. Like it was just a fun day, but I just remember and just thinking it was so cool watching this the Benny robot. But he was such a cool character. But that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I don't
that you
think
guys
I
really
had
saw
a
Benny
scene
as
with,
much.
with Benny.
I didn't see Benny that much. I would go visit him in the car because I didn't get to do any scenes with Benny. And once I discovered, it was like, he what? Because you guys did the scene and you were like, we just did a scene with this skeleton. And it was, and it was so much fun because the kids were young and the excitement and the enthusiasm that you guys had, I could just watch them and get lost in just watching them. They always say, like, don't do movies with kids and animals because they will totally steal the focus. And it was an absolute delight. I used to watch this one on day one. I was like, she is so good. Oh, this is going to be fun. Oh, she's so good. And J. Paul Zimmerman was so good, and Emily so good. And it was just, and obviously Debbie, legend. But it was, to have such strong, really like committed young actors, amazing. It's why the films are so loved.
You're very kind.
No, but it's true.
I pay her lots of money to speak compliments about me at panels. So thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, what's your name?
Kate.
Hi, Kate.
You've talked a lot about the practical effects of the movies and how that made them so magical. And I think the makeup effects are also really amazing.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite made-up character to play off of in a scene?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I liked a lot of the guys walking around Halloweentown, like the pumpkin heads and like those really
and there was
cool
like a
creatures.
pig face person.
Yeah, and there was.
It's like there was a lot that was happening production-wise, like production design-wise, that you didn't even really get focused on as much as I felt like they should have.
Yeah,
because it was just details everywhere.
And I actually had a plaster-made mold, mold made of my face for the first Halloweentown. I was actually supposed to, the original ending of the first Halloweentown, when we first, like in the original script, was instead of Marnie putting the talisman in the jack-o'-lantern, she was gonna walk into the middle of this magic forest. But as she walked into the middle of it where she had to place the talisman, she got increasingly older, just, I mean, down to like, I think, do you remember that ending at all?
I don't, and
It was
you've
like-
mentioned this before, and I'm like, I don't think I ever had a copy of that.
Oh, okay, so it was very early on. They had me made, I still have like the cement mold of my face.
That is so cool.
Right after I had that done though, they rewrote it to the jack-o'-lantern, but Marnie was supposed to like walk in and just get increasingly older, like, and just kind of, it was almost like a decaying into the middle of the forest, of the evil forest. Wow. And I don't know why
Did
they
it
ended
end
up,
there?
I think that was like where it had to be placed to break Kalabar's spell rather than going to the jack-o'-lantern.
I wonder
And then
if they
moved
had
it back
kept
to the
it,
middle of the town.
how we would have gotten you back.
That's what, yeah, and maybe that was part
Yeah.
of the, but that
That's
just
so
made me think
cool.
of it, because I almost got to like wear one of the masks like everybody else.
Yeah.
That's
Next
so
time.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey, you.
Hey, what's your name?
Oh, she's prepared. She wrote it down.
I was actually going to ask about Benny, but then you spent a long time talking about Benny. My name's Savannah, and
Hi, Savannah.
really just want to say it was amazing growing up with the movies, and I have a bunch of younger cousins that we're introducing them to her, and they love Benny, of course. But I guess one of my questions is, are there any bloopers or mishaps that actually made it into the final movie?
Oh.
That made it in. A lot of times they don't make
Yeah, I
it
don't-
in.
Know that any, and we didn't have like a ton of bloopers, like.
These guys were seasoned pros.
Well, thankfully, the couple of times that, like, I remember the scene, Jay Paul and I seeing the orange bus for the first time in the beginning of the first movie, hiding behind that pile, and he was like, where'd that orange bus come from? And I say to him, like, I don't know, but I'm not missing it. And I get up, and I remember on one of the first takes, his foot was on my cape. So I was like, I don't know, I'm not missing it. And I went up, and I just completely face planted. And then I remember another day that Debbie was supposed to, I think it was one of the first scenes where all the kids come to her house in Halloweentown, and she had several lines of dialogue where she had to refer to the Cromwell clan, but that day it just kept coming out as Cromwell clowns. And we enjoyed the heck out of it. We would just break out into giggles. So those are two that stick out. They didn't make it in the movie, obviously, but those are two that stick out to me behind the scenes.
Hilarious.
There was a mishap that didn't make it into the movie either for my character, but in the end scene again, I talk about that scene a lot. It was a fun scene where Cal's in the rafters and then he flies down onto the stage after he's turned everybody into creatures. Well, they had me up like it was basically like a rope and a pulley and attached to me, and some guy was holding it, and I was just basically suspended in the air, and when they say action, they were supposed to lower me down onto the stage, zzz, boom, and then I'm supposed to zap people. And the first take, they were like, action, and it slipped out of the guy's hand. And I was up there a ways, and I just went, zzz, boom, and nobody said cut or anything, so I was like, zap! Zap! And then they yelled cut, and I don't think that one made it into the movie, but luckily I landed like that. I landed like a cat, thankfully, otherwise it would have been a disaster. But I was like, no, gonna get you mortals. And then when they yelled cut, I'm like, dude, what happened? And he was like, I'm so sorry, it slipped out of my hands. So that was an interesting mishap.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that explains those spine issues.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, that's fun.
Cal was part
That is
Spider-Man,
not
maybe,
how
or
that
something.
is supposed to go. Safety meetings are real people. I don't know any bloopers. I do know that there was a jar filled with coins and dollars because I had a potty mouth.
Why was that, Judith? Why?
I forgot.
It's okay, I have the same
to
potty
not
mouth now,
swear
so I
around
shouldn't
the
have
kids.
charged her a dime.
Because I'm used to working with grown-ups, and we all swear. And then they let all these kids in, and they were delightful. They were like, she swore.
Oh, we loved it.
She swore again.
Debbie?
I was going to send him to college.
Debbie said the word ass. During filming the first Halloween, it was the only word she let slip. I remember when we were filming in the house one day, and I remember all of
She
us
had such
burst
a potty
into
mouth.
giggles because we were like, "Oh my gosh, she said ass!" And then later, when I got older, I heard all kinds of other afterwards too.
Yeah,
So.
she was a salty broad.
It was the
Yes, she
best.
was.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
So I totally apologize. We have time for one more question, and then we're going to take a big group picture.
Then
with
come to our
everybody.
tables.
Yes.
And we'll answer your questions.
Answer
we
all the
promise.
questions.
What's your name?
My name is Remy.
Hi,
Remy.
Remy.
Hi. So mine is a weird. What is your weirdest fan experience that you've had?
Fan experience.
Oh, I know mine.
Well, when my mom took me to Sears when I had to buy my first bra. As a young girl, and I was on a soap opera at the time, Guiding Light, and the nice woman that helped us was a complete fan, and I ended up talking to her mom on the phone at the counter as my mom was paying for my first bra. It was interesting. It was one of the first times that I was like, oh, you know who I am, and now you know my bra size. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Were you in New York City?
Yeah.
Were you in Macy's?
It was a mall like with a Sears, Macy's kind of thing.
Okay. So I was in Macy's.
Okay.
In Times Square. Not Times Square. It's below Times Square. It's 34th Street. Also on a soap opera.
Oh.
I'm trying on a bathing suit.
Oh.
All of a sudden, I'm lifted into the air, and someone's spinning me around.
What?
And saying, "You're in my story. You're in my stories. Oh, I'm like, what's happening?" Because I don't know about you, but when I'm trying on bathing suits, I just want my own space. Because, they don't always fit
You like
so
privacy?
good and everything. But I was being spun around by, I didn't even know what was happening. And finally they put me down, and she was like, "I love you." And it took me a minute. It was one of my very first jobs. I was on a soap opera. I didn't know that anyone would ever know who I was, let alone pick me up in Macy's and spin me around. And it was a truly surreal moment. And there is something about soap opera fans.
They're the best.
There's not a lot of soap operas anymore, but back in the day, man, you were with them every day.
Absolutely.
Every day for years.
Not a more
And-
loyal fan, really.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I bet you were in Macy's.
Any stories for you?
I don't have a lot of weird fan stories. I was probably the weird person when a fan saw me. It was maybe a year after the movie came out, and I wasn't thinking anybody would ever recognize me either. I'm like, okay. And I just walked out of seeing a movie in a movie theater. I just walked out of the theater. I don't remember what movie it was, but one of the guys that worked there, one of the kids, he was like, oh my God, you're Cal. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's my favorite movie. And he started crying and everything, and I didn't know what to do because I was like, I'm sorry. So I just went into the bathroom and kind of left him there crying. Like, I'm gonna pee. And then when I came back, I was like, is he gone? I don't know. And then he was working and everything, but I was the weird one because I was just like, I don't know, and ran away. He was probably like, that Cal's a jerk. And I'm like, I'm a jerk, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh my God, I love Daniel Kountz.
You were a jerk who had to pee.
I did. I
So
did. Yeah.
it's understandable.
Nature calls. Well, this has been truly magical. I appreciate you guys so much. Like they mentioned before, whatever questions you didn't get to, make sure to go visit them at their table. Are you guys going to be here all weekend long?
All weekend.
Love it. Love it. Before we do wrap it up and take a big group picture with everybody, any thoughts?
That was awesome.
If that's okay with you guys, if you guys want to come
Come
to
on
the
up.
stage, not on the stage, we're going to get this all set up so y'all can be seen, and we're going to take a big picture.